You board a small plane. Nice. You're the only passenger on board. In a few hours, you'll be sunbathing on the beach, sipping something cold and refreshing. But before that happens, you'll face an epic test to see if you've got the kind of survival skills you need to survive in the wild. Count up your right answers and see what it all means at the end of the video. You fasten your seatbelt and fall asleep just before takeoff. Suddenly, turbulence. You wake up from a dream where you were an octopus in an earthquake. The plane's shaking, your luggage falls out of the overhead. This is serious. You strap on an oxygen mask and notice a flash of lightning outside. A second later, you see another flash. But this time, it's your plane's engine. It's on fire. You're falling. The screeching of ripped metal, screams, and then darkness. You pass out. After a few seconds, you open your eyes and find yourself falling from the sky. Okay, get it together. You unfasten yourself from the chair to stop spinning. The first rays of sun appear over the horizon, and down below, you see a dense forest, a green field, and a small pond. By stretching out your body, you can change direction, you can steer. So, where are you going to land or crash? You have 3 seconds to decide. The best answer is the forest. A fall into water from that high up would hurt the same as falling flat on the ground. But tree branches can soften a fall. You plummet into the forest and lose consciousness. Day 1. Awake. Your whole body aches. Fortunately, you're not injured and you can even walk. Those branches saved your life. Yeah, this is a fairy tale. Now, where to? You don't have a map or a compass. Then suddenly, you hear the sound of a river. You need to choose a direction. Here are the options. Walk in a straight line. Find some moss on a tree and walk in the direction it's growing. Find the river and walk along it. You have 10 seconds to choose. Don't go straight if you don't want to get lost and walk in circles. Navigating by moss? Yeah, I just made that up to mess with you. You should go along the river. It'll lead to a pond or a lake, and there might be people there, or a road, or some signs at least. Day 2. You make it to a lake, but there's no sign of civilization. Now what? Maybe head back up the river? Along the way, you pass out again. You wake up and it's cold, so you drink some river water and try to make a fire. You collect dry twigs, brushwood, birch bark, and moss. Oh, sweet! A gas lighter and a piece of paper in your pocket. What's the best way to start a fire? Put the branches in a pile and pour gasoline on them? Put pieces of paper in the branches and fire them up. Make the branches into a triangle, place birch bark under, and light it. You have 7 seconds, and it's getting really cold. Don't pour that precious gasoline on the branches. It'll burn out too quickly, and those fumes are bad for you. The paper will burn off too fast, and the wood won't catch fire. The triangle of wood will let air pass through it. That's the key. Fire and air, a match made in heaven. Get it? Match? Okay. Day 3. You finally get warm, drink some water, and continue along the river. Uh-oh, you haven't eaten anything for 3 days. Gotta get on it. You don't know how to fish, so you go into the forest to find some food. You have a few choices. Berries, they look delicious and seem pretty juicy. Ants, mushrooms. You have 7 seconds. Choose wisely. Ants are the most delicious and safe thing around. You just can't eat random berries or mushrooms. They can be poisonous. Now, how do you get those ants to march right into your mouth? Hey, I can't hand you all the answers. Day 4. A big bear's blocking your path. You shout to scare it away, but it just looks at you. It's not happy. And now it's coming your way. What should you do? Run as fast as possible, because bears are big and clumsy. Climb the nearest tree and sit up there till the bear goes away. Lie down in a fetal position and stay absolutely still. You have 5 seconds to make a choice, and it better be the right one. Bears are fast and can climb trees like they're oversized squirrels. The right decision is to pretend to be asleep. The bear will see that you're not a threat and probably will pass you by. Day 5. Heavy rain starts to fall. You need to hide under a tree, build shelter, and make another fire. Which of these 3 trees should you hide under? You have 7 seconds before you're soaked to the bone. The tree on the left is rotten and might crumble at any moment. There's a snake crawling in the tree on the right. Venomous or not, it's not worth the risk. The tree in the middle is perfect. Day 6. Your stomach starts to rumble. Those ants weren't exactly filling. You decide to catch a fish at all costs. Aha! You could use a piece of your clothing as bait. But where can you find a fishing rope? You have 10 seconds for this one. The answer is your shoelaces. They should be enough if you tie them together. After a long day of fishing, you finally catch one. Aha! Sushi! Day 7. Your journey along the river continues. Up ahead, you see that the river splits into 2 smaller streams. Decision time, left or right. This could mean life or not. You have 7 seconds to decide your fate. Definitely the right stream. There are wolf tracks by the left stream. A pack of hungry wild animals? Yeah, no thanks. Day 8. No way, you're saved! In the distance, you can just make out the roof of a big house. You run over and tragedy. The house is totally abandoned and almost destroyed. But you still decide to go in. In the hallway, you see 3 doors. There's a sign with snakes and spiders on the first door. The second door also has a sign, a pit with spears at the bottom. The third door has a lightning bolt sign on it, probably some high voltage stuff going on in there. Which room should you choose? I'll give you 10 seconds for this one. Go for the third door. The house is abandoned, so the power's probably been out for years. You decide to stay the night, rest, and move on in the morning, even though it's super creepy. Day 9. Time to hit the road again. In the house, you find a piece of broken mirror and grab it just in case. You've been walking for hours, but the river doesn't seem to be leading anywhere. Then, you hear the most magical sound. You look up. A helicopter! You need them to see you, but there's no time to start a fire. What can you do? The helicopter's about to fly off. 5 seconds, quick! Grab that piece of mirror. You can reflect the sun off it and try and direct the light at the helicopter. Yeah, you've been spotted, but you can't be saved. No. Thunderclouds come out of nowhere and force the helicopter to fly away. Your best bet? Stay right where you are. That helicopter will come back for you tomorrow, hopefully. Day 10. You wake up in a good mood. The rescuers will be here soon. You take off your shoes to wash your feet in the river. Then, a not-so-magical sound. You hear a growl. 2 wolves are staring down their noses at you. You start running in a total panic. The wolves start to chase you. They're catching up. There are 3 paths up ahead. The first road is covered in hot coals. The second one is littered with rusty nails. The third has broken glass all over it. Which path are you going to choose? You have 2 seconds. The wolves are coming right up behind you. Your best bet is the hot coals. You're running, which means you won't have time to feel any pain. It might get a little hot, but your feet will be safe. The wolves don't dare run through the coals, but they stay nearby. Great, now the rescuers won't know where to find you. Wait a minute, How did these 3 paths appear in the forest anyway? People made them. You're on the right path. Civilization is near. Yeah, food, water, Wi-Fi. Day 11. The helicopter appears in the sky again. You whip out your mirror and go to town. The helicopter starts to fly down, but it can't land on your side of the river. The forest is too dense. The rescuers are waiting for you on the other side. Quick! 3 logs lie across the water. Which one's safe to run across? You have 10 seconds, so think carefully. The first log looks old. The river might carry it away at any moment. The third log, well, it's a crocodile. You need to cross the river on the second log. You're saved! Next stop, a cool ocean breeze. But what you don't know yet is that there's one more test. You'll be swept far out into the ocean after you accidentally fall asleep on a little boat you rented. But that's another story. Now, let's check out how well you did. 0 to 4 points? You better not go camping without an experienced guide. Hey, don't worry, survival in the wild isn't for everyone. 5 to 9 points? Not bad. If you get lost in the forest, you won't panic. But things might get a bit hairy if you have to stay out there for more than a couple of days. 10 to 12 points. Wildlife is your second home. If things get really bad, you could just camp out in the woods forever. Hey, just never mind that part about falling out of the plane without a parachute. A famous rich businessman got sick. He needed a professional doctor and was ready to pay a lot of money. Many fake doctors applied, hoping to get that amount. Take a look at their resumes and tell which doctor is the real one. It says that Mr. Robert Greene was born on November 31st, but this date doesn't exist. There are just 30 days in November, so this resume must be fake. As for Dr. Matthias Johnson, there's no city mentioned in the place of birth, only the state. If I were that rich gentleman, I'd definitely pick the first candidate. Leslie lived in a house where she wasn't allowed to have any pets. But one day, she found a cute, lonely dog that didn't have an owner. She couldn't resist and took it home. A few weeks later, the house owner knocked on her door. Leslie hid the dog and opened the door. Still, the owner instantly knew that she was keeping a dog. How did he know? She forgot to hide the dog's food. A huge pack is still in her room. Tatum got messages from 3 different guys who wanted to go out with her: Zion, Toby, and Brick. She loved reading, especially detective stories, and she told that to each of the guys. Can you guess which of the guys lied to her based on their responses? Zion: Sure, I absolutely love detective stories. My grandpa knew Sherlock Holmes himself. Toby: Same. Last year I read 200 books and most were detective stories. Brick: Wow, that's awesome. My mom owns a bookstore in New York and she always brings me books, so I love reading too. Zion was lying. Sherlock Holmes is a book character, and he never existed in real life, so his grandpa couldn't possibly know him. Eloise was having a birthday party. She invited 3 people over and got 3 presents: a pair of gloves, a bag of makeup, and sunglasses. However, Eloise didn't like one of the presents. Can you guess which one and why? She didn't like the pair of gloves. Both of them are right-handed. 3 zombie girls are chasing Jake. One of them is his ex-girlfriend. Can you tell which one? Take a closer look at Jake's shoulder. He has a tattoo that says J+L. These must be the first letters of his and his girlfriend's names. If you take another closer look, you can see that Zombie Girl B has a tag attached to her leg saying Lucy. It must be her name, and it starts exactly with an L. So, Zombie B must be his ex. Esme went for a walk in the woods and got lost. She's been wandering around until she approached the witch's house. She pet her cat and asked if the witch can send her home. The witch agreed to let Esme go if the girl guessed her name. Luckily, there was a hint. The capital of Romania, the capital of Oman, the capital of Spain, and the capital of Egypt. Esme got it right. Can you guess what the witch's name is? Romania has only one capital letter, and it's R. The capital letter of Oman is O. Spain gives us S, and from Egypt we get E. So it seems like the witch's name is Rose. Right before a restaurant was about to open, somebody stole all the money from the office. A detective arrived for interrogation. A cook said he was working hard and didn't have time to walk or gaze around, so he didn't see anything. The security guy said that he was in the bathroom and didn't steal anything. The waiter said that he saw one visitor going to the office, but somehow didn't realize that wasn't okay and didn't stop him. The waiter was arrested for stealing the money. Why? The restaurant was closed, and there couldn't have been any visitors inside. Indiana wanted to make her mom the best birthday present ever, but had zero ideas. So she decided to break into her mom's computer to see what she had in her online shopping cart. Her mom's computer required a password, and Indiana didn't know it. Luckily, there was a hint: 914491141. Can you guess what the password is? Each letter is the number of a respective letter in the alphabet. Ninth letter is I. Letter number 14 is N. Number 4 is D. Ninth is I again. The first one is A, the 14th is N, and then A again. So the password is Indiana. Emma, Maeve, and David like apple juice. Anna, Layla, and Ava like orange juice. Following the same logic, what kind of juice does Atlas prefer? Emma, Maeve, and David have just one letter A in their names, so they're grouped together. Anna, Layla, and Ava have 2 A's in their names. Atlas has 2 A's in the name, so she prefers orange juice. William was on vacation in Thailand. One day, he met a beautiful girl there and approached her. He asked her on a date, and the girl agreed to go out with him if William guessed her name. Since she really liked him too, she gave him a hint. My name is 2/7 of Germany, 2/5 of Nepal, 2/9 of Singapore, and 1/5 of Spain. Can you guess what the girl's name is? Two-7 of Germany means 2 out of 7 letters in the word Germany, which are GE. 2/5 of Nepal gives us NE. 2/9 of Singapore adds up to SI, and 1/5 of Spain is S. So the girl's name is Genesis. The police have been looking for the person who robbed the city bank. They figured he'd try to leave the country, so they arrived at the airport and started questioning the people. One man, Bryce, said that he was a geography teacher going on his vacation to Germany, Poland, and Wonderland. Another suspect, Savannah, said she was a model going to Italy for a photo shoot. Max, a student, said that he was going home to Ukraine for the semester break. Can you tell who the robber is? It's Bryce. Wonderland is a fictional country. If he really were a geography teacher, he'd know that it doesn't exist. Annika woke up and found out that she wasn't in her room, but in some dungeon. She tried to open the door, but it required a password. The hint said SMTWT. Can you guess the following 2 letters? This is the sequence of the first letters of weekdays. S for Sunday, M for Monday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It means that the final two are F and S, Friday and Saturday. Mrs. Lawrence had 3 teenage daughters, Serenity, Kennedy, and Autumn. They were all grounded and couldn't leave the house. However, one of the neighbors reported that they've seen one of the girls at the mall but couldn't tell which one. Mrs. Lawrence came home and asked the girls what they were doing. Serenity said that she was reading all day. Kennedy said that she was watching a movie in her room and never left the house. Autumn said that she had spent the day in the garden. Mrs. Lawrence immediately knew who lied. Can you tell? Look, Kennedy and Autumn have dirty shoes. That's okay for Autumn because she said she'd been in the garden. Kennedy said that she'd never left her room, so her shoes can't possibly be that dirty. She must have lied. Dakota got in a car accident and was suffering from memory loss. She was a popular girl at school, and everyone wanted to be friends with her. Since Dakota couldn't remember who her friends were, one of the girls decided to pretend she was her bestie. On Monday, 3 girls visited Dakota. Ava brought her some snacks and chocolates. Nova got her earrings that Dakota had wanted to buy. Arden made her a friendship bracelet and brought a movie. Can you tell which girl isn't Dakota's friend? It's Nova. She got her earrings, but Dakota's ears aren't even pierced, so she couldn't have wanted to get them. Can you tell which werewolf is real here? Werewolves only turn from a person into a wolf at night and when it's the full moon. On the left, it's a day, so the person can't turn into a werewolf. It must be a costume. On the right, it's night, but there's no full moon, so the person shouldn't look like this as well. In the middle, everything seems normal. It's night, it's full moon, and the person has turned into a werewolf. It must be the one. Can you tell who's a real mermaid here? The second one is a guy, so he definitely isn't a mermaid. The girl on the right is chilling in the sun, and she's out of the water. Mermaids wouldn't do that because they dry out in the sun. So the real mermaid must be the one on the left. Take a look at these 3 people. Can you recognize the real vampire? If you look closely at the first one, he's wearing a silver chain. Real vampires can't stand silver, so this must be fake. The girl in the middle is wearing a silver bracelet, so she doesn't fit either. But the third vampire seems to be valid, at least at first sight. A teenage girl, Skylar, got poisoned after school, and Detective Callum had to solve the case. He interrogated the classmates, and one girl said that she saw another girl, Ayla, adding something to Skylar's water bottle. However, no one else has seen it. He talked to Ayla's boyfriend, who said that she was with him after school. Another witness was a guy working at a cafe who saw Ayla and her boyfriend there and even showed pictures from the security camera. Still, Ayla was arrested for poisoning Skylar. Why? Take a look at the picture of Ayla. She has a tattoo on her left arm. However, in the security pictures, the girl who was in the cafe with Ayla's boyfriend has a tattoo on her right arm. Turned out, Ayla had a twin sister no one knew about, who covered up for her. So, Mia wanted to go to the party her classmate was throwing, but her father didn't let her. Mia thought for a while and remembered her grandparents had just moved to their new one-story country house. She asked her dad if she could visit them at the weekend, and the man agreed. But Mia went to the party instead. When she got back home after the weekend, her father asked her if she had had a good time. Mia replied she helped in the garden a little and spent the rest of the day upstairs. Her father immediately knew she was lying. How? Mia said she'd been upstairs, But her grandparents' house is a one-story cottage. Liar, liar, pants on fire. 11 plus 3 equals 2. 10 plus 5 equals 3. Now how is that possible? It makes sense when we talk about time. 11 o'clock plus 3 hours is 2 o'clock. 10 o'clock plus 5 hours is 3 o'clock. One king wants to find out which of his 3 sons is the smartest. He takes 3 chests and puts his crown in one of them. On each chest there's a statement, but only one of these statements is true. The crown is in this chest. The crown isn't in this chest. The crown isn't in chest number 1. Each person can only open one chest. The son who figures out where the crown is will be the next king. But can you solve this riddle? If the first statement is true, the other 2 must be false. It's not so because the second statement turns out to be correct. So this assumption's wrong. If the second statement is true, the crown isn't in the first chest. It's not in the second chest either. Then it must be in the third one. But this makes the third statement correct, although it shouldn't be. If the third statement is true, the first one's wrong and there's no crown in the first chest. The second statement's also wrong. Now there are no contradictions. The crown's in the second chest. Here's a sequence of letters. Which letter should you add? The missing letter is F. If you put it at the end, you'll get E. James and Taylor were best friends in elementary school. Unfortunately, when the children were 10, James and his parents moved to another state. The friends lost contact. 15 years later, James and Taylor accidentally bumped into each other in a cafe. It was their first meeting since school. They recognized each other and started talking. It turned out Taylor was already married and had a daughter. "Wow," said James, "does she look like her dad?" "Oh no," Taylor said, "the girl's a mini version of her mother." "Ah, so she must be a blonde with blue eyes." This time, James was right. How did he understand that? Taylor's a girl. She's the mother, and James only needed to describe her. You're outside a room with 3 switches in the off position. Your task is to find out which one turns on the light in the room. You can flip as many switches as you want, but you can walk into the room and check if the light's on only once. How can you understand which switch controls the light bulb? Turn on 2 random switches and wait for a couple of minutes. Then, turn one of them off and walk into the room. If the light's on, the switch connected to the bulb is the one you left in the on position. If the room's dark, touch the light bulb. If it's hot, then the controlling switch is the one you just turned off. If the light bulb is cold, the correct switch is the only one you haven't touched. Esme got lost in the forest. She was wandering around for the whole day. Finally, at dusk, she saw a spooky house. A witch lived there. The girl had nowhere else to go, so she entered the house and asked for help. The witch said if Esme solved her riddle, she'd be free to leave in the morning. Here's how the riddle went. 17J, 70M, 96A, 162J, 256S, 354, what's the missing letter? The 17th day of the year is in January. The 70th day of the year is in March. The 96th is in April. The 162nd in June. And the day 256 is in September. Day 354 is in December. The missing letter is D. A young girl got her first job as a maid in a rich lady's house. Once, when she was tidying up, she noticed a very expensive collection of books. She made a break to look through one of them and then returned it to the shelf. The girl kept working until the very evening. No one else was at home. After finishing her work, the maid returned to the shelf and discovered that the sixth book was missing. But she clearly remembered that the book had been there before. It was the one she had been looking through. When the lady returned, the girl confessed she'd lost the book. But the woman only laughed and said everything was fine. Nothing was missing. How come? The collection had 8 books. The 9th book was actually the 6th one. The girl accidentally put it upside down. Right before Christmas, the police got information that a famous thief named Alfonso had left Chile. He boarded the plane to Los Angeles. The only thing the detectives knew about the man was that he had a beard. At the airport, the police officers met a group of people. They had just arrived from different countries. The detectives noticed 4 men with beards and interrogated them. The first one said he'd come from London. The second told the police he arrived from Chile, but his name was Cristiano. The third man answered he'd come from Sweden, and the fourth one was also from London. The police didn't even need to check their plane tickets to spot the criminal. How did they know? It's Christmas time, but the man who supposedly came from Sweden is dressed too lightly for that climate. He must have arrived from Chile, where it's summer. A road accident happened on a foggy day. 2 drivers were taken to a hospital. Each of them had a concussion. Interestingly, their cars didn't even have a scratch. What happened? The drivers were going in opposite directions. It was foggy, so they stuck their heads out of the window. They didn't notice each other and hit their heads. Ow! Samantha was born on January 27th. For the first 20 years of her life, she celebrated her birthday in the winter. But starting with her 21st birthday, she began celebrating it in the summer. Why? She moved to the southern hemisphere, where it's summer in January. 2 sisters, Ava and Nicole, are very honest girls. They always tell the truth, except for one day a year. On their birthdays, they always lie. Today is September 17th, and you ask them when their birthdays are. Ava says hers was yesterday, and Nicole says her birthday is tomorrow. The next day, you ask them again, and they say the exact same thing. Can you guess when their birthdays are? They can't have 2 birthdays. It means that one day one of them lied, and the next day it was the other's turn. Since Ava mentioned yesterday, her birthday must come first. So Ava's birthday is on September 17th, and Nicole's on September 18th. Bethany, Tommy, Eliza, and James spent the whole day at home alone. Their mother didn't let them enter her room. When she came back in the evening, she wanted to eat her chocolate bar, but it was gone. She went downstairs and asked the kids who had eaten her treat. Bethany said she'd been doing her algebra homework the whole day and hadn't eaten anything at all. Tommy replied he had been playing football outside. Eliza said she didn't even know where their mom kept chocolate. And James simply claimed it hadn't been him. Their mom knew immediately who had taken her chocolate. How did she figure it out? It was Eliza. The mother never mentioned what kind of treat was missing, but Eliza somehow knew it was chocolate. The father of identical quadruplets, Aurora, Belle, Chloe, and Dana, called the teacher and asked her to let Dana leave earlier. She had a doctor's appointment. The teacher couldn't tell the girls apart. To have some fun, the quadruplets refused to confess who was who, but gave their teacher a hint. Chloe is somewhere in the middle. Dana is to the left of Belle and to the right of Aurora. Aurora is right next to Dana. How can the teacher identify the girls? Chloe is somewhere in the middle, and since Dana has someone on both sides of her, she must be in the middle too. If Chloe was the second, Dana would be the third. Then Dana would be to the left of Belle, and Belle would be the fourth. Then Aurora must be the first. But it doesn't work, because Aurora and Dana have to be next to each other. If we switch Chloe and Dana, Dana will be right next to Aurora, but still to the left of Belle. So the right order is Aurora, Dana, Chloe, and Belle. Dana's the second girl. Here's a quick joke. Two geniuses are walking down the street. One genius says to the other, "Hey, you look down in the dumps. What's the gray matter?" I didn't say it was a good joke. Okay, you big-brain person you, here's another challenging quandary of riddles to solve. Ted is a lucky game show winner. He can pick one of the three prizes: a brand new Mercedes, a Louis Vuitton purse, or a MacBook. Which one should he choose? Think carefully, he can only get one prize. Look at the Mercedes. Its logo is wrong, so it must be fake. The same goes for the purse. That's what Louis Vuitton's real logo looks like. But the MacBook seems to be okay, at least at first sight. So let's go for it. A car thief appeared in a little town. Every night, a car went missing. First, it was Mr. Smith's red vehicle. The next day, it was Mr. Holmes' pink car. And last night, it was Mrs. Tanner's white Ford. The town's detective is going to stop the criminal. Take a look at the 4 cars that are still out there and help the man understand which car is going to be stolen next. There are 4 cars left: yellow, blue, green, and black. The first car that was stolen was red. The word red has 3 letters. The next one was pink. There are 4 letters in pink. The third vehicle was white, and the word white has 5 letters. It means the next car to be stolen is going to be yellow, because there are 6 letters in this word, as best I can count. Mr. Jones was going on vacation. In the evening of his last day at work, he cleaned up his office and left, taking the key with him. When the man came back 2 weeks later, he immediately realized someone had broken into his office while he had been gone. How did he figure it out? Mr. Jones cleaned everything and took out the trash. But have a look at the garbage can now. There's some paper inside. Esme got lost in the forest. She was wandering around all day long and couldn't find a way out. Finally, at dusk, she saw a spooky house where a witch lived. Esme had nowhere else to go, so she entered the house and asked the witch to help her. The witch offered Esme to play a game. "I'll tell you a riddle. If you get the answer right, I'll take you out of the forest. But if you make a mistake, I'll keep you here as my maid forever." Esme had no choice but to agree. Here's what the witch said. "It has cities, but doesn't have a single house. It has mountains, but not a single tree. It has water, but no fish. What is it?" Can you help Esme? It's a map. Students got an assignment for their summer break. They had to start learning a new language. It could be any language they liked. When a new semester started, the teacher asked the students how it had been going. Mark said he had been learning Brazilian and enjoying it. Genevieve said she'd chosen Ukrainian. Ben said he had been learning Arabic. It turned out to be very hard but interesting. But the teacher didn't believe one of the students. Who was lying? She didn't believe Mark, who had said he had been studying Brazilian. There's no Brazilian language. People speak Portuguese in Brazil. Oliver came back home and found a love letter in his mailbox. It was a very sweet one, but the sender didn't write their name. However, there was a little note at the end. J+1, B-1, R+2, H-3. Oliver has 4 suspects: Jane, Alex, Leah, and Kate. Can you tell which one of them wrote the love letter to Oliver? The note is the hint, of course, and the alphabet is the key. J+1 means the next letter in the alphabet, which is K. B-1 means one letter before B, which is A. 2 letters after R is T, and finally 3 letters before H, there's E. So, the secret admirer is Kate. Well, a very rich gentleman was having his 3-month vacation. 3 months? His mansion was burgled. The police were notified and the detectives started the investigation. There were 3 people caught on the security camera. They were interrogated. Max, the owner's old friend, said he had come several times to collect the mail. Gwen, the housemaid, said she had visited 3 days before to clean the house. Ronnie, the gardener, said he had been coming every week to take care of the garden. All of them denied stealing anything, but the detective didn't believe one of them. Who was lying? He didn't believe Gwen. She said she'd cleaned the house 3 days before. But look around. There's dust and dark stains everywhere. It doesn't look like it's been cleaned recently, so she must be lying. A long time ago, in Norway, a princess was taken away. She was locked in a small room on a tiny island in the middle of a huge lake. Even if she managed to get out of the room, she wouldn't be able to reach the shore. On the island, there were no trees or any tools she could use. It means she couldn't build a boat. And still, half a year later, the princess managed to escape and returned home all by herself. How did she do it? It happened in Norway. It's cold there in the winter. As soon as the lake froze over, the princess walked on the ice and escaped. Mrs. Brown called the hospital and said her husband had been hurt. When the doctor arrived, she led him to the bathroom. The man was lying on the floor inside. She said the bathroom door had been opened, and she saw everything when it happened. Her husband was washing his hands but slipped and hit his head on the sink. The doctor didn't believe her and called the police. Why? Look at how the man's lying. His head is on the opposite side of the sink. He couldn't have fallen like that. A tired mother of 3 daughters came home late after work. She found the kitchen all messy. It seemed one of her daughters made a sandwich but didn't clean after herself. The mother walked upstairs and found all 3 of them doing their homework. She asked who had made the sandwich, but all the girls, Hannah, Della, and Emily, denied making one. Still, the mother could tell who was lying. Look at the kitchen and the girls carefully. Who do you think is guilty? And how did the mother understand who was lying? There's some butter on the right side of the knife. It means the person who made the sandwich is left-handed. There's only one left-handed girl in the family, and that's Emily. So, it must have been her. All the money from the city's bank was stolen right in the middle of the day, but no one noticed that. Several days later, the room where the money used to be stored was found completely empty. There was just one note saying 7718. The police arrested the three most known criminals in the city, Bill, Mark, and Cole, but the officers didn't know which of them was guilty. They invited a famous detective to crack the mysterious note, and he managed to do it immediately. Can you do it too? Turn the paper upside down. This way, the numbers turn into a name, Bill. He must be the culprit. Now wait. If Bill isn't quite that dumb to name himself, did someone else frame Bill for the robbery? Hey, just thinking out loud here. Moving on. Devian found his friend Aaron in his room. The guy was poisoned. Devian called the police. When the officers arrived, he told them he had been walking past Oliver's house and noticed the light in his room was on. He came up to the window to check who was inside, his friend or his brother. It was cold and there was frost on the window, so he wiped it away to see who was inside. When Devian saw Oliver lying on the floor, he called the police. The officers didn't believe the guy and immediately arrested him. Why? Devian said he'd wiped the frost off the window to see better, but he couldn't possibly do it. Frost forms on the inner surface of the window. Now let's check how well you know logos. In each pair, you'll have to pick the correct one. What does the Apple logo look like? Try to recall the one on Ted's MacBook. The second logo is correct. Okay, here's Instagram. Do you remember what its icon looks like? Yes, this small dot must be in the right corner, so the first logo is correct. I bet you see it every day. What's the real Google logo? It's the second one. First the red O, then the yellow one. Which one is the correct Burger King logo? Of course, it's the second one. Now I'm hungry. If you play video games, you must know it. If not, well, try yourself. Which PlayStation logo is correct? The second one. Okay, now, a tough one. Which TikTok logo is correct? It's the first one. Check it out if you don't believe me. Now, if you're stuck at home and bored out of your mind, then let's give that brain of yours a boost. Find the hidden F. There it is! How many fives can you spot in 7 seconds? Did you get all 6? Nice! What's the missing letter here? P, R, E. Those are the letters at the end of ship, car, and plane. You have 5 friends and you're all going to the movies. Tom and Tim are twins, but they can't sit together because they always start bickering. Max always starts instigating with Sally and Sarah, who also don't get along. So Max can only sit with the guys. There are 5 seats side by side, and you have to put all your buddies in order. How can you sit them so everyone's happy? Sally, Tim, Max, Tom, and Sarah. What's missing here? 13524. Did you guess 6? Sorry, but the correct answer is R. This is what you see on stick shifts in manual cars. 1 through 5 are the gears, and R is for reverse. Okay, what about here? MTW what? FSU. You probably guessed these letters represent the days of the week. But since both Tuesday and Thursday start with the letter T, many schedules, especially academic ones, often use R for Thursday. Same goes for the weekend. S is for Saturday, but U stands for Sunday. How do you get a giraffe in the fridge? Just open the fridge, put the giraffe in, and close the door. A classic. The lion is giving a speech to all the animals in his kingdom. All of them are present except for one. Who didn't show up to the king's speech? The giraffe, since you put it in the fridge. See if you can spot the mistake in 7 seconds. 1 equals 1, 2 equals 2, 3 equals 3, 4 equals 4, 5 equals 5, 6 equals 6. It's up there in the question. Alright, how about another try? Find the mistake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ah, there it is, in 8. Find the letter D in all these B's. Oh, a master of disguise, that one. Which set of letters doesn't belong here? The answer is AOEI. It's the only set of vowels. Hey, you should be in a bakery. You're one smart cookie.